Hey guys, it's Erin. So as we get closer to 2017, I've been thinking over my last year, and today I want to share with you the best thing that has happened to me in the last year. Last May, I got the opportunity to travel with ISV to Australia. It was a truly amazing and life-changing experience, and I'm so glad I went. Today I want to share with you a bit of what to expect and a few tips for a better trip. Okay, so let's talk cost. My biggest warning to you is that the ISV student reps will try and tell you that you can get school funding and scholarships to cover most, if not all, of your trip, and that fundraising can help bridge the gap. While fundraising is helpful and I would not have been able to go without it, you likely won't cover all of it. It is important to note not all schools will accept the college credit that ISV offers, and scholarships are not possible without proof of crediture. That being said, the experience is worth every penny and hour selling things door to door, and I can honestly say that I've learned more about life and how to live it in a month of ISV than 17 years of school. Okay, so if you decide to go, you will be assigned a 2-week project. I was assigned a project with CVA Newcastle. Our goal with our project during the first week was to remove invasive plant species. We worked mostly with mangrove plants, which were taking over the salt marsh environment which was needed for the migratory birds. We also removed Juncus acutus, lantana, and tobacco plants. The second week, we went up to Allenbrook and built a wheelchair accessible path through a New South Wales state park. We were in smaller groups for project, which was great for making friends. During project, the group was responsible for making meals together, which provided for bonding time and allowed me to grow my cooking skills tremendously. It also allowed us to decide what we wanted to eat and have some healthier options. During project, we had the weekends off, which was amazing in Newcastle. Honestly, it's my favorite town I've ever been in. It is important to budget for projects. The flyer that ISB hands out says that you probably won't need as much money during project as during tour, but I disagree. I honestly think that I probably spent more during project because we went out for the weekends. Now, depending on what project you have, the amount of money that you have, or that you need to budget for is going to be very, very different. So Newcastle is like a small town city vibe. There's like 5 beaches within walking distance, and there's lots to do. So our group went on like a craft beer tour. I think that cost us like 80 Australian. And then we did like a canopy tour, like a high top like tree climbing kind of thing, which was not really my thing, but I wanted to be with friends, so I gave it a shot. So you gotta budget for stuff like that. Also during the weekends we had a tendency to go out to bars because we were all legal and we could, and then it was just fun. So yeah, you may not be buying souvenirs, but make sure that you don't forget to budget for project. Okay, so let's talk tour. So tour is technically optional, but don't even think about missing it. For tour, all ISV groups for that time slot join together and travel the East Coast from Sydney to Cairns. You'll get to do amazing things like rappel the Blue Mountains, explore Sydney, side note, I highly recommend going to Luna Park, surf and kayak with dolphins in Byron Bay, enjoy the white sands of Fraser Island, whitewater raft the Tully River, bungee jump, and scuba dive in Cairns. Tour can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. Some activities are included, but many are free days. Free days are great because they can be personalized, but they can get rather pricey. During tour, you're also buying some of your own food, so I recommend buying some muesli bars from a grocery store for food on the go and cheap eating. And don't be afraid to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Like, I was rappelling the Blue Mountains, and honestly, that is definitely the scariest thing that I've ever done. And I am so incredibly proud of myself that I did that. Like, that is such a huge personal accomplishment for me, because even rappelling down like their baby cliff or whatever had me like kind of close to tears, and I was holding it on, and then I did like 50 meters. It's like, I think 126 feet just pure down, and I couldn't believe I did it. And everyone there was like so great and supportive of everyone, for me, for that moment. And like, we had some kids in our group that were afraid of heights that did like the ropes course from project and stuff like that, and it was just so amazing like to be around that. It was really, really cool to be that supported. And definitely, if you're gonna make it out there for project, go on tour. Like, no one in my group decided to not do tour, but like supposedly a lot of people do decide to do that. But I just can't, like, especially Australia, which is like such a long flight. I think it took us like over 40 hours to get there because we had to fly to Auckland first, which I wasn't expecting. And like, it wasn't 40 hours on a plane, it was like 40 hours with the layovers and everything. But like, that's a long flight, or a long like travel time. So like, to do that and only be there for 2 weeks, it seems insane to me. Like, if you're already gonna go there, like, when are you gonna go back? And while you're there, try to do everything that you never thought you would do, because you'll really, really impress yourself. And try the different food. And yeah, I don't know, kangaroo especially is really good. Their meat pies are fantastic. Tim Tams are great, which like you can get those in the US, and trust me, once you come back you will definitely find them at every supermarket like that you can. Like, Target has them. I think they actually have like the most of anyone around. And oh God, they're the best. And they'll show you something called the Tim Tam Slam, which involves tea. Like, I wasn't a tea drinker when I went there, and now I'm a total tea drinker. Yeah, just like keep an open mind about everything, learn a lot, meet a lot of different people. I think the best thing about this is that like, whether they're from the same country or not, like, it doesn't really matter, because you have at least one thing in common. You're all going to care. Because you wouldn't put this much work, like all the project stuff's manual labor, you wouldn't put that much work into something if you didn't care about it. So you all have like one common interest going in, and then you'll find that you have like multiple common interests with people. And that's really exciting. But you'll also find like how different everyone is, like even within the same country. Like, even some of my friends that are from the US, if you couldn't tell by my accent, I'm from the US, like there were differences in the towns that we lived in. Some of us lived in like rural areas, and some of us came from just like regular suburbs, and some people came from cities, and that's different. And like, obviously if you got other people from completely different countries, that's completely different perspective. And it's amazing to meet different perspectives and learn about different cultures. Like, so for my group, most people were from the US. We had several Canadians, and then we had one girl from China, and then obviously we met a lot of Australians while we were there. So that's like, what, 4 worldviews right there, and then within each there's probably different ones. Like, that's amazing. I don't know of any other experience that's like this, that's going to give you that. Like, sure, you could study abroad, and you know, to be honest with you, before I found out about ISV, that was my plan. I wanted to study abroad for a semester in Australia. Like, Australia's been a dream town for me, or a dream country for me rather, for like my whole entire life. I wanted to go. And I'm a sophomore in college right now, and I started last year, and I was a couple weeks into college when ISV came around and they did their, you know, presentation at my school. And I had previously thought, yeah, definitely study abroad, but during the couple of weeks I was, dang, college is really hard. And I realized that I didn't want to be visiting Australia bogged down by homework and exams and stuff like that, because I wanted to be immersed in the culture, and I wanted to have fun and to be helpful and to feel like I had a purpose. And ISV gave me that, because while I was there, yeah, I had a purpose. I was working and I was helping the environment, and I didn't have to worry about school. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is a few tips like for planning your ISV trip. And I guess it's just like mistakes that I made, like in terms of packing and stuff. So the biggest thing that I wish I had done differently was pack different luggage. So I had gone through like the ISV packet that they hand you once you get accepted, and like you pay everything. It has your project information and everything else. And they're like, yeah, so you need to have either like a backpack or like a wheeling duffel, basically. And I had neither. So I had like a backpack for backpacking the AT when I did that last year. Not this last August, but the August before, so like a year and a half ago or so. And that's great, but it's really small, and I was not going to get a month's worth of stuff in there. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. What am I going to do? So like, I think honestly, this was mistake number 1. I left packing until like, I think the day before I left, and so I had bought this like collapsible duffel like the day before I left, and I did not realize that collapsible or rolling duffel meant that it was just going to taco in half as I walked around the airport with it. And it didn't really register with me until I was already in the airport and it was kind of too late. So I ended up like having an extended layover in San Francisco, which is where my ISV flight left from, and it was kind of annoying me then, but I was like, oh, it's okay. I'll survive. I'm just gonna have to go through the airport in Newcastle and there'll be like a bus or something to pick me up, right? No. I had to take a train from Sydney to Newcastle with a duffel that would not roll because it weighed so much that it just like fell in half. So please, whatever you do, buy good luggage, because you're gonna not only be schlepping it like in your hometown airport, but you're gonna be schlepping it like all over, because you're gonna have to move it for projects, you're gonna have to move it all throughout tour if you go. So like, just whatever you do, get a good suitcase. And yeah, it like a backpack strap is nice because like depending on where your project's at, you may not be able to roll it. But just make sure it's got like a steady like metal backbone on it or whatever, like a skeleton. I think High Sierra makes some good ones, but mine was a piece of crap. The other thing that I wish I had done was get like shampoo and conditioner in like bar form. Now this sounds absolutely ridiculous, but like when you're going through security and you're limited to 50 pounds, everything matters and like space matters. And I really wish that I had just brought like a bar, like, cause like I know like Lush makes them, I'm sure like other places make them too, but just I think it would have been a lot more convenient if I had had that. I know a lot of people also like they just brought like micro toiletry sized ones, which weren't enough for a month, and then they went out and bought some there, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. Word of the wise, toiletry items in Australia are not the same, especially girls, like feminine hygiene products, they're different. So if you're particular about that stuff, bring it with you. Don't bring like a lot of food with you, because you're gonna have to take that through like customs and stuff. But like, yeah. And I guess that's the other thing about bringing like a bar of soap too, is like I would have had a lot easier time getting that through, like I could have potentially put it in like a carry-on or something like that, whereas I had packed all of my stuff checked. Now all my bags arrived, thank God, which like that's a blessing. I have no idea what would have happened if it hadn't, because we left, like we flew into Sydney and then we took like I think it was like a 2-hour train ride, but I could be wrong, to Newcastle. So like I don't know if they would have sent it or if I would have had to, I assume they would have sent it, but I don't know, because I've always lost bags when I was like close to the airport, so it wasn't a big deal. And like on that same token, you probably should pack like one outfit with you in your carry-on bag, because you don't have any transport, because obviously they drive on the wrong side of the road and you didn't bring the car with you and you're too young to rent a car. So I don't know, probably a good idea to pack clothes in your carry-on. I didn't need to because everything worked out okay and I didn't, but probably a good idea. If I would do it again, I would probably do it like that. The camera, a good one. I brought a GoPro. That worked out really well, especially since I was diving and stuff like that. Is for scuba diving in cans. Now, I'm a certified diver, as you can see from this lovely diving shirt here. So I didn't experience any problems with this, but several of my friends went to Australia and wanted to dive uncertified. Now, you can do that, but the thing about that is they're going to make you dive with your hands like linked to the other person, you know, like I don't know how to do this, I'm just one person, but like linked through here. And the thing about that is that the animals in the ocean will run really quickly away from you. Like, because you're just not going to be able to see anything because they're terrified. Like, one person, they just think, oh, okay, a big fish. They don't know any better. But like a giant wall of people, they're like, oh my God, that's so scary. And they just kind of run away. So like my friends didn't really see anything. Whereas I was a certified diver, so I got to go in a smaller group and I was allowed to explore, so I saw a whole bunch of stuff. Like I saw a stingray and a cuttlefish and all that kind of stuff. So I just really, really, really strongly recommend that if you're going to go to go to Australia on your ISV tour, that you get certified. And I would imagine maybe for some of the other tours with ISV you might want to be certified too. Although I don't really know because I was Australia from the get-go. I mean, you should become a certified diver anyway, because diving's awesome, but that's another story. So, but definitely, if you're going to go to Australia, get certified. It's not that hard to do. You're a college student. Most colleges even offer a college class. That's where I got certified, and I really, really liked it. Yeah, and then also, if you're a diver already, I would maybe recommend bringing, like, your mask and snorkel with you. I did this primarily because I have really bad vision. I am pretty blind without my contacts, so I don't like to dive blind. Like, I guess you probably can, but I don't like it. And then also just like your mask is going to fit your face the best, and it's pretty small. You may want to bring fins too. I kind of regretted not bringing fins, but at the same time, like, you have to lug them around for a month, so like maybe you should cut your losses. Maybe like the solution is buying them there and then like donating them. I don't know. That's just something to think about. Like, they'll give you rental equipment, like all of it, so you don't have to bring anything, but like it's recommended. And then my last piece of advice is that you should bring some amount of dressy clothes, and if you're like a girl, like some basic makeup, because you go out to like clubs and bars and stuff like that on the weekends during project, but during like adventure tour, like especially, like I know we rented a party bus and like everyone wanted to look nice, and I was like, okay, yeah, I brought leggings and t-shirts because I thought, oh, I don't mind wearing leggings and t-shirts, and that's really good for project. Which, like, that's not a bad thought process. It's just that, like, I don't know. I ended up buying stuff, and Australian clothes are not cheap. So, but yeah, other than that, just have a really, really amazing time. So I hope this video helped you with your decision, or gave you a few tips, or made you a little bit more excited about your trip. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button down below and subscribe. Bye!